What's going on, everybody? Akaza here, and it is time to talk about and review. Oh boy, one record that I've been listening to non-stop since it dropped. What is that record called? It's none other than Green Day's new 2020 album, Father of All Motherfuckers. Yes, I've been listening to this non-stop since February 7th when it dropped. And I figured now it's been a week since it dropped, and I've watched everyone else's reviews, and good God, there is so much unnecessary hate for this album. No shit, I've listened to this album over 115 times. I am just in obsessed mode with it. This album is so much different than anything Green Day has ever done before. And that's honestly one of the things that I fucking love about it. And also, Billy Joe Armstrong designed the cover himself. They joked they were originally going to call it American Idiot Part 2, but then they went with Father of All Motherfuckers. Which, there are actually two different versions of the album cover. On Discogs, you can find the regular version for like $10 to $25 with a unicorn on the cover, and then there's a over $100 version of it where there's no unicorn and it reads Father of All Motherfuckers. The reason for the unicorn is due to censorship, because obviously, people would throw a fit, parents would throw a fit about that. FCC would have a meltdown. But let's just talk about the music. Now, as I said, I've listened to this over 115 times. I'm not joking, that's not an exaggeration. It's probably been a few more than that, actually, because I just can't stop listening to it. Since the moment it dropped, I got the CD, I got the record, I got the regular version of the record, because I don't have enough money to spend over $125 on the uncut cover version, which at some point I might, just because it's fucking cool and it comes with a bunch of cool stuff. But so I want to talk about when the first single, Father of All, dropped. A lot of people were skeptical about the song because I heard a lot of people saying it looked like some loungy, honestly, T-Mobile ad, which I do kind of see that in the visuals of the music video, but I dig it. It's something that's just honestly different. Yeah, it's got its poppy tendencies, but it's got this kind of old school rock and roll feel to it. It's not punk, it's not hardcore, it's not like the style you get with Revolution Radio or American Idiot. It's just got this really loungy rock vibe going on, and people were complaining about Billy Joe Armstrong's voice changer, which, what, sounds good to me, honestly. I just, this is so out of left fucking field, and the title of the album is called Father of All Motherfuckers, or Father of All ... and it's definitely going in that sort of direction. The album art is so fucking crazy, it's everywhere, that's what this album is doing. It's going everywhere. They're not just staying still with one genre. They're not just staying still with one sound, I know a lot of punk rock bands, especially from the 80s and the 90s, that are still going. Every album they come out with, there's a distinct sound with this. Lyrically, there is a distinct sound to this because, lyrically, Billy Joe has a specific way he writes, and I can still hear it. Many of the lines in the songs on this album are Green Day's DNA. And in all technicality, even which dating back to 21st Century Breakdown, the music on this album still has the 2010, not so much the 90s Green Day and the 2000s Green Day, but the 2010s Green Day DNA in it, because you could hear influences from 21st Century Breakdown, so with songs that are a bit different than punk, especially songs from Uno, Dos, and Tres, especially songs from them. A lot of people were saying they didn't expect this sort of a direction, but I saw it coming. I mean, I didn't think their new album was going to be off the charts like this, but to anyone who can honestly sit there and say, "Wow, this is something that I would have never expected," I did. I fully expected this because it was just coming. Green Day they've been a band for almost like over 30 years now. I believe they formed in '86 or '87. Yeah, I know their first album was in the early '90s, but they've been playing for a long ass time. And with that being said, their sound's going to change. In fact, that's honestly the only way to really stay relevant today, is if you change it up a bit. And, people not just changing it up to stay relevant, but over time, people change, bands change, and that's a good thing. And yes, when some bands change, not everybody's going to like or appreciate the change that you make, but as long as you're being you and you're enjoying yourself and having fun with it, then hell yes, more power to them. There was a conspiracy going around for the longest time about this album, that since this is the final album on the Reprise Records contract deal, that there's a lot of rumors and speculation that this album was a troll album to give a middle finger to the record label just to get off of it. Which, to an extent, I mean, I believe they meant this album in full. I feel the emotion in it, I feel it, I love this album. But to an extent, yeah, I also do feel like, just because of Billy Joe Armstrong and what his nature is, I do feel like to a degree, this was a degree of a middle finger to Reprise. I feel like they kind of just shot something completely out of the dust, out of the left fucking field, just to give the middle finger to Reprise. Because, you watch Anthony Fantanos review and half of the other music critics on this YouTube platform, there's a lot of hate for this album. As I said in the beginning of this review, there's a lot of hate for it, and so I could kind of see, I'm going to change my persona here. I'm going to be, someone who grew up with Green Day as a punk rock band. If you were expecting this to be a Green Day punk rock album, like similar to American Idiot, then yeah, you're going to hate this. And maybe to a degree that's what they were going for. I know I'm going back and forth here, but what I'm trying to say is, with this album, damn right they meant it. But at the same time, I feel that they also meant for this to be just, what the fuck, Something just so shocking that it's a last middle finger to the label. Because they even joked they were trying to come up with something stupid for the title. So yeah, maybe this was a middle finger to Reprise. Maybe this was that. But, they had fun with it, though, and that's what counts. But, some of my favorite tracks on this album, I love the song Father of All. Oh Yeah, honestly, is, Oh Yeah and Sugar Youth. Probably Sugar Youth is my favorite because it takes a line from, what's her name? Or no, She's a Rebel, She's a Saint from American Idiot. There's a lot of licks and influences from American Idiot on this album, especially on the album cover itself. But, oh yeah, I watched a little behind the scenes to that video, and Billy Joe Armstrong explained that song was about a post-apocalyptic time where, to make a long story short, everybody gets the camera on them for a few seconds, and they get to do whatever they want for a few seconds, and it's just so spontaneous, it's so left and right, it's so all over the place, it's so anarchy in the video. It's just, yeah, I know, oh yeah, the song itself is poppy with the chorus, but as you go into it, like, let me read you the lyrics. Like, oh yeah, because most people won't actually look into reading the lyrics. They'll just go into saying, they'll just hear the song and think it's a poppy song, and they're like, it's just a cop out. Which you know what? Going back to an earlier statement as to this album might have been a middle finger to Reprise. If you just listen to the music itself and don't read the lyrics, don't pay attention, then yeah, you're gonna think this is some shit. But if you actually pay attention to the music itself, there's some deep lyrics in this. I'm in the crowd full of angels and demons. I'm looking out for the jingos and heathens. Nobody move, and nobody gonna get hurt. Reach for the sky with your face in the dirt. Everybody is a star. Got my money and I'm feeling kinda low. Everybody's got a scar. Ain't it funny how we're running out of hope? I got blood on my hands and my pockets. That's what you get turning bullets into rockets. I am a kid of a bad education. The shooting star of a lowered expectation. I don't have anything to say about that. Jesus Christ. I wish I could write like that. Maybe I'm different than everyone, but I just see a lot of really unique and special linguistics, lyricism, and the lyrics that he came up with for this album. I just do. It just, feels stellar. Like the song, oh yeah, it just feels so stellar to me. This feels so. It fits the idea of the music video. The world's ending. Everybody's got a few seconds to do whatever they want. No rules, no laws, just go at it. It just fucking feels like that. This album, that song specifically, is such an uplifter. I was dancing around my house to that, blasting it. God damn, it's a fucking good song. Meet Me on the Roof is another song people were complaining about. They're saying it sounds like some generic car commercial, which I can see that, especially since I do Panda Camera and Harley Davidson. Which, by the way, I believe the song "Oh Yeah" went to a charity to help people who suffer from abuse. So, shout out to Green Day for caring about that. Billy Joe Armstrong always does stuff like that. I read all the time on Rock Feed, on Rolling Stone, on Loudwire, on so many different rock and roll outlets that Billy Joe Armstrong is constantly, and the rest of his band are constantly donating to charities and helping people all the time. They just have that punk rock DIY mentality. They've always had that, and that's something that you can't take away from them. That's what makes them honestly special, and what really helps them stand out over so many other bands. But yeah, I know a lot of bands do that, but that's one of the biggest things I love about Green Day. They might be one of the biggest rock and roll bands in the world, but they still have that DIY punk mentality for a lot of what they do. There's a I don't know how many of you read the story, but I don't remember what state it was. I think it was Phoenix, Arizona. There was a band who played at a Denny's, and they fucked the place up, and they had an outstanding balance of several $1,000s, and they couldn't pay it off. And they started a GoFundMe, and Green Day heard about it, and they donated the money, and they offered to go play there. I could give you a bunch of stories about what Green Day has done for fans, but that'd take all day. I grew up with Green Day, like many of you. I grew up with them, and so I love them. I've always loved their music. Meet Me on the Roof, though, a lot of people complained about it, how it had a generic idea to it, which, the video is what it is. It's a decent video, kid at school, likes a girl, too nervous to talk to her, trying to figure out a way to get her attention and to win her over, and uh, Green Day apparently is playing on the roof, and he starts promoting flyers around, and she goes out there to see Green Day play, and well, you've all seen the video. I'm not gonna explain it, but yeah, the video's kind of got a bit of cheese to it, a little cheesy, but I found it kind of cute. I found it kind of cool. I like the message of it. Yeah, it's a good song. I was a teenager. This song kind of grew on me because at first I didn't like it, but the more and more I listened to it, the more and more I decided, yeah, I like this. I'm gonna read some of the lyrics on it that kind of stuck out to me the most. I don't want to freak you out, but I cannot lie. I don't want to freak you out, but I can't lie. So who's holding the drugs? Who's holding the drugs? I don't. I was a teenager, full of piss and vinegar, living like a prisoner for haters. I was a yeah, the it's kind of repetitive, which that is kind of a negative on my side, but you know, it does kind of honestly remind me to a degree of Pennywise's old song "Alien," especially when Billy does say the line, "I was a teenager full of piss and vinegar, like living like a prisoner for haters. I was a teenager. I am an alien visitor." It kind of does have that draw to it, but I guess when you've listened to it a shitload of times over and over again, it just grows on you. Like, I didn't really see anything special about this song when I first heard it. It is one of the slower songs on the album, but I do like the "I don't want to freak you out, but I cannot lie." Oh my fucking god, who's holding the drugs? I relate to that. Because there's a lot of times that I want to talk to somebody about something or open up, and I was like, hey, I don't want to freak you out, but I gotta talk to you about something, and I was a teenager full of it. We can all relate to that. It's a relatable song. Not one of the top on the albums, but it's enjoyable for me at least. "Stab You in the Heart." Good God. Old fucking Motown rock and roll song. Good God, this song actually is not lyrically one of my favorites, but it's one of the songs that got stuck in my head for so fucking long. Like, good God. I went to sleep. I went to sleep multiple nights, and that song, I wanna stab you in the heart, I wanna stab you. That song is stuck in my head so easily. Baby infidel in a dirty magazine, telling dirty lies everybody can see. Kick it in the head, and I want to see you dead, with a switchblade edge to the chest. Yeah, it's got some pretty deep ass edge lyrics there. Just about stabbing a person in the heart. It's pretty fucking deep for what it is. But for the deepness of the lyrics on there, for just the edginess of the lyrics, it's got that fucking old school rock and roll Motown type of instrumental, and it's the way Billy sings that song is so uplifting in a happy way, for kind of a not really a dark song, but lyrically looking at it from from another perspective, the lyrics are dark, and then the way Billy sings it kind of makes you want to dance around to someone getting stabbed in the heart. I mean, that's at least how I see it. But Sugar Youth, good God, this is my favorite song on the album. Oh yeah, it's my second favorite song. Sugar Youth is fucking fantastic. What are the symptoms of our happiness in civil war? Mano y mano in stereo without a cure. I've got a fever for a non-believer, and it's killing me, like a high school loser that'll never ever fuck the prom queen. It's genius. Which, I've got a fever for the violent behavior. That's obviously from Bang Bang. And, there is a part of that does go back to, like I said earlier, she's a rebel, she's a saint. It goes back to that song. So yeah, that's why I said a lot of this album does tie back to American Idiot and to some 21st Century Breakdown and to some of their older music. It does tie back to those, and it's not just with the cover, but some of the lines are changed up, some of the instrumentals are changed up, which I dig that, making old references to an old song. But yeah, Sugar Youth, that song is addicting as fuck. I blasted that so damn much. I'm hearing voices up inside my head. Oh, what you thinking? I need a sugar fix. It's making me sick. Oh, what you drinking? I want to drink all the poison in the water. I want to choke like a dog that's on a collar. I'm a child of coyote and bandito. I'm drinking whiskey by the river doing yayo. Goddamn. You can say I'm easily amused, but I just love the way he writes. Take the Money and Crawl, the last song I want to talk about. That song is just, it's kind of vicious. Uh, I'm a nervous wreck enough to make you sick. Take the money and crawl. Oh yeah, it's just my luck because I don't give a fuck. Take the money and crawl. Illegal tender going on a bender. Cold-blooded killers of all motherfuckers. The song is just vicious. I love it. Vicious in nature. But yeah, I talked about some of the songs on this. Graffiti is a good song too. But yeah, overall, let's see, how many songs is this? 10 songs? 1, 2, 3, 4, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 10 songs, 10 songs. It's 10 songs, it's over 20 minutes long. I love it. Love the album cover. Both album covers, the Father of All with the unicorn, and then the Father of All Motherfuckers without the unicorn. On the back of it, it shows Billy and Trey and Mike eating dinner somewhere with the songs on the. What is that? I guess they're in a cab or something, but they're just having a fucking party. It's cool as shit. Then on the back, they got Father of All, and they're outside. Yeah, it's a pretty solid album. And I own it on vinyl CD, and I'm gonna save it for the cool looking vinyl record of it. But I just wanted to make this review to give my thoughts about this. I know a lot of people have their negative opinions, but you know what? That's cool. If you don't like this album, then don't like this album. That's completely up to you. No one's gonna change your mind. I'm just making this review to give my opinion of it. I find it to be a total fucking rocker. I find it to be absolutely amazing. I've left this comment in many YouTube comment sections. I firmly feel, in my own honest opinion, that Father of All is it's my favorite Green Day album since American Idiot. By far, it is much better than 21st Century Breakdown. Much better, much better, much better than Uno, Dos, and Tres. and a hell of a lot better than Revolution Radio. Revolution Radio's got some good tracks on it, but this, honestly, this album is. You see, I like to compare this to American Idiot, and I understand why Billy Joe Armstrong and them wanted to call this American Idiot Part 2. American Idiot was a politically charged album to a degree. You know, it was. This album, not so much. I mean, it's got some political licks in there, but this album is just more fun, rocking around, having a good time album. This song is just, it's just a rock and roll album here. But I see why they wanted to call it American Idiot Part 2. Not for the political nature of it, because it really doesn't have one, but what was American Idiot? Because, you know, if you've been a Green Day fan your whole life like I have, or if you just know anything about the band, 1990s 39 Smooth, and, you know, 91 Kerplunk, 94 Dookie, 95 Insomniac, 96, or no, not 97 Nimrod, 2000 Warning. Right? That's the 90s Green Day up to 2000. And from 39 and Smooth up to Warning, yes, their sound did change quite a bit. Dookie is when they blew the fuck up entirely. And then, you know, Insomniac, Nimrod, and Warning really didn't do much on the charts. And then for 4 years, Green Day went away. No one heard a fucking thing out of them. Yeah, they released a few live CDs, live tapes, and all that, but, you know, nothing. No Green Day from 2000 to 2004. And to quote Fat Mike and No Effects in, what was it? I don't want to say it was the American Hardcore documentary, but it might have been Punk's Not Dead. There's a documentary that Fat Mike and No Effects just made a statement about Green Day. No, it might have been a Green Day documentary, actually. It was just said that Green Day went away for like 4 years because they just weren't hitting it hard. They weren't, those Insomniac, Nimrod, and Warning just weren't doing it. And then suddenly, they do American Idiot and they're filling stadiums. They came back completely reinvented, completely changed up, refreshed after a long break. You know what I'm saying? And that's the feeling that I get from Father of All. That is the feeling that I get from Father of All. Because, honestly, I haven't been this fucking excited for a Green Day album since American Idiot. So 21st Century Breakdown has its ups and downs. I mean, it's a decent album for what it is, which there's 5 years in between American Idiot and 21st Century Breakdown. But still, it didn't captivate that rock and roll spirit in me like American Idiot did. Don't wanna be an American Idiot. You know, that album just starts out with a banger and just keeps flowing. American Idiot's got its ups, its downs. It's kind of slow. Wake Me Up on September Ends, Boulevard of Broken Dreams, and it's got the radio hit a holiday, which I don't really care for those 3 songs. I really don't care for them. I never really have. Love American Idiot. Jesus of Suburbia is my favorite Green Day song of all time, but the songs on American Idiot that make that album special, which I'm not going to review American Idiot. Jesus of Suburbia, then St. Jimmy, Give Me No Became, She's a Rebel, Extraordinary Girl, Letterbomb, and Homecoming. What's your name? Those are the songs that make that album explosive. And that album is just a non-stop carrying it to the motherfucking max. And then they lost it, in my opinion, with 21st Century Breakdown. I couldn't even really tell you all the... I can't even really talk about 21st Century Breakdown because I've listened to it in depth, but it's just such a shitty album, in my opinion, that it's... Although I've listened to it a bunch, I bought it in 2009, and I have it. It's over there on my shelf. 21st Century Breakdown is just so uninteresting and boring to me that I can't even sit here and review it. And I've listened to it a bunch in the last 10 years. Uno, Dos, and Tres, those 3 albums, they got some tracks. Nuclear Family is pretty good. Kill a DJ, I guess. Not really. I'm not really a fan of those 3 albums. I mean, I liked that they were different, but they were different in kind of the wrong sort of way. Tres, you know, kind of same with Tres and Dos. They just Uno, Dos, and Tres didn't really do much for me. They each have their individual songs, and I'll listen to them all more in depth and do a more in depth review of them. But those three albums just don't really hit it for me too much. And actually, that's kind of due when I agree with all the music critics about them. Then Green Day went away for another 4 years. Came out with Revolution Radio, which was a banger. Revolution Radio is a total fucking banger. I actually lived in Japan when that one came out. That one came up with a bunch of good tracks. Bang Bang, which they made controversy with the Donald Trump statements in that one. I remember that. The I Heart Radio. Say goodbye to the ones that you love. I love that song. So forth. Too Dumb to Die, Ordinary World. And I like the cover for Revolution Radio. It's got a tape deck on fire. Pretty cool. But even that song, even that album itself, was just too. Billy Joe Armstrong, around that time, I remember this, he went on Twitter and he made the statement, with this album coming out, Revolution Radio, it's time to kill pop punk forever. You might remember that if you follow him on Twitter or pay attention. But that's literally the opposite of what they did with that album. Revolution Radio is a straight, no effects, Bad Religion, Penny. It's just straight ass mainstream punk rock record. Revolution Radio is. I feel like they tried way too hard with it, especially for the Trump, which fuck Trump, but especially for the Donald Trump. No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA, no Trump, no KKK. Which, by the way, for those of you that don't know, which I made a review of this a long ass time ago. The whole when Green Day went on stage and did no Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. They actually didn't come up with that. There's a punk rock band from the early 80s called Millions of Dead Cops, Born to Die. Yeah, they are the ones who, well, the original one doesn't go like that, but MDC, they have an album in 2016 called Mein Trump, and actually, yeah, that Green Day didn't take it, but I'm gonna say covered it, because Dave Dichter of MDC, he actually liked the cover, he praised them for that. But yeah, Green Day didn't come up with that. MDC did. The whole no Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. MDC came up with that. Just to throw that out there for those of you who have no idea about MDC and might have heard that and thought to yourself, oh, cool. Green Day came up with something awesome. Yeah, they didn't come up with something awesome. They just covered something awesome, and I've seen the live segment where they did that, and I'm kind of disappointed that Billy Joe Armstrong didn't give a shout out to MDC during that. Kind of disappointed me a bit, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I pulled that out, the answer or whatever, because Revolution Radio, in my opinion, feels way too trying hard to destroy the pop punk term forever. They tried way too hard, and it just didn't sit right. But from then till now, that's why I'm saying Father of All Motherfuckers is honestly, in my firm opinion, you're allowed to have whatever opinion you want. I don't care. If you disagree with me, that's fine. Tell me in the comment section all you want. Father of All Motherfuckers 2020 is the breath of fresh air that I've been waiting for with Green Day since they released American Idiot in 2004. It just, with this album, like I said, they did some different shit, Uno, Dos, and Tres, but it didn't sound good. This album, they took different routes, different influences, and they just went everywhere. Father of all. They just exploded. And at least in my opinion, because I've listened to this so many times, you can ask any of my loved ones on Facebook, I won't shut the fuck up about this album. That's why I'm finally doing a review over it. But I just feel so much energy, so much I feel just so much with this album. I fucking feel it. I enjoy it. I rock out to it. Play it nonstop. And I love it so much that I'm going to buy the uncut artwork version of it when I have the money for it. It's just awesome like that. And honestly, I'm probably going to end up seeing them this year. But yeah, Father of All Motherfuckers, I give it a 5 out of 5 stars. A+ album. It makes me truly look forward to whatever Green Day has up their sleeve for their next project, which will not be on Reprise Records, I don't believe, considering their contract with Reprise is now officially over with, because this is the last album on there. Whatever they come up with next, I'm highly excited for it, because they did get with this one. Let's see what they have next. I hope they keep going down the path that's, I hope they keep going down this experimental, I should say, path that they're, pardon me, going down, because in my opinion they did damn good with this one. Anyway guys, I'm Anarka. Thank you so much for watching this review video, and like I said, everything that I've stated in this video is entirely my own opinion. If you don't like it, sorry, it's my opinion. You're allowed to hate this album, you're allowed to think this album is fucking garbage, you're allowed to think whatever you want, and so am I. Freedom of speech is a beautiful fucking thing. Anyway, do swidania.